Welcome to our continuing series on questions and answers from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Today's subject is Peace, Part 6 from Sri Aurobindo. The two feelings are both of them right. They indicate the two necessities of the sadhana. One is to go inward and open fully to the connection between the psychic being and the outer nature. The other is to open upward to the divine peace, force, light, ananda above, to rise up to it and bring it down into the nature and the body. Neither of these two movements, the psychic and the spiritual, is complete without the other. If the spiritual ascent and descent are not made, the spiritual transformation of the nature cannot happen. If the full psychic opening and connection is not made, the transformation cannot be complete. The vision you had of the other luminous and peaceful and beautiful world was a sort of symbolic image of the true physical consciousness and the world in which it lives. The physical consciousness as it is, when it is directly under the control of the psychic, and the character of the world which it tends to create for itself. It is the psychic being in you that has come forward, and when the psychic being comes forward, all is happiness, the right attitude, the right vision of things. Of course, in one sense, it is the same I that puts forward different parts of itself. But when these different parts are all under the control of the psychic and turned by it towards the reception of the higher consciousness, then there begins the harmonization of all the parts and their progressive recasting into molds of the higher consciousness, growing in peace, light, force, love, knowledge, ananda, which is what we call the transformation. Atma is not the same as psychic. Atma is the self which is one in all, calm, wide, ever at peace, always free. The psychic being is the soul within that experiences life and develops the evolving mind and life and body. The psychic does not suffer like the vital or body. It has not pain or anguish or despair. It has a psychic sorrow which is different from these things. There is a kind of quiet, sweet sadness of yearning which it feels when things go against the divine, when the obscurity and obstacles are too heavy, when the mind, vital and physical, follow after other things, when evil and falsehood and darkness seem to be too strong for the light. It does not despair, but feels that these things ought not to be, and the psychic yearning for it to be otherwise becomes so intense that it is felt as if something akin to sadness. The blows in the forehead were perhaps the working of a force to open the center there. For there, between the eyes, is the center of the inner mind, will, and vision. all these centers are closed in the ordinary consciousness, or else only very slightly open on the surface. If the inner mind center opens, then the peace, etc., from above can enter easily into the mind and afterwards into the vital, and both mind and vital will become quiet. The bridge you saw was the symbol of transition from the ordinary to the spiritual consciousness. The wide plain was a symbol of the large peace and silence which comes with the spiritual consciousness when one rests in the divine. The perfumes you felt were true perfumes, but not of the physical world. This body of flesh and blood is not the whole of ourselves. There is unseen by the eyes a subtle body also, and one becomes aware of it when the inner consciousness opens. It was from deep within there that the perfumes came, perfumes of purity, of love, and surrender, rose, etc. It is there, deep within, that the psychic being dwells, and it is there that you are trying to go when the inward going impulse or pressure comes. It was why you felt more and more peaceful, because you were going deeper and deeper into the psychic from which these perfumes came. If your consciousness rises above the head, that means that it goes beyond the ordinary mind to the center above, which receives the higher consciousness, or else towards the ascending levels of the higher consciousness itself. The first result is the silence and peace of the self, which is the basis of the higher consciousness. This may afterwards descend into the lower levels, into the very body. Light also can descend and force. One has, when one sits with eyes closed in meditation, the sensation of going up which you describe. It is called the ascension of the lower consciousness. Afterwards, things begin to descend from above: peace, joy, light, strength, knowledge, etc. And a great change begins in the nature. This is what we call the descent of the higher, the mother's consciousness. What you see above is of course the true or higher consciousness, the mother's, in which one sees all the world as one, a vast, free consciousness, full of freedom, peace, and light. It is that we speak of as the higher or divine consciousness. Even if it comes and goes, yet its effect on the heart shows that a connection has been established through the psychic. For the psychic is behind the heart. It is there above the head that the consciousness has to ascend and remain, while it also descends into the head and heart and lower vital and physical, and brings there its wideness, light, peace, and freedom. One may get influences from above, but so long as the mind is not full of the higher calm, peace, silence, one cannot be in direct contact. these influences get diminished, mentalized, vitalized, and are not the powers of the higher planes in their native character. Nor is this sufficient to get control of the hidden forces of all the planes of consciousness, which is perhaps what he means by occultism.